right. All right. Hi, everyone. I hope you all are doing well and ready for another exciting meeting at the Future Leaders Gavel Club. My name is Claire, and it is an honor to be your current club president, and I would like to officially call this meeting to order. I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of our guests, and we sincerely hope you all will enjoy and learn from this experience. The Future Leaders Gavel Club is a Toastmasters club open to middle and high school students, in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Each meeting usually has three parts: a prepared speech section, a table topic section, and then the evaluation section. But for today, as you all may have seen in the agenda email, we will be having a special workshop presented by Devin himself, who was actually one of the founders alongside his brother of the Future Leaders Gavel Club. And Devin and his brother are currently attending Stanford. And we're just super happy to welcome them back to share some of their experiences, whether that's regarding college app advice, any standardized testing, or their overall experiences at Stanford, and any other topic Devin would like to share. So, with that being said, Devin, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Claire. It's wonderful to be back. It's great to see so many new faces here, as well as a few old ones. So thank you so much for letting me come back and share this experience with you guys once again. Can I get a raise of hands for who here is in middle school? Okay, so I see you, Ethan, Serena. All right. Is everyone else in high school? Raise your hand if you're in high school. Wow, that's a lot of you. Well, for those of you in middle school, there's still some time until college rolls around. For those of you in high school, it's coming up pretty soon. And I think that something that's really important for preparing for college is to start early. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do a lot of college app writing early, but it means that you want to start thinking about your college application, whether it's with your extracurriculars or academics or other things like leadership, volunteering, and teacher recommendations early so you can get those prepared so you can have the time to accomplish the things you want to accomplish and so that you can get into the college that best fits you. So that's something that was really important for my high school career because from my freshman year, I was already planning, thinking about what clubs I want to join, what extracurriculars I want to do, how I want to perform in my classes in order to best attain what I want to attain for college. Now, can someone raise their hand and tell me what are the key parts of a college application? Ethan?
SAT scores in high school education.
That's great. That's two very important factors that they look at. So you're right. SAT is a big one. For those of you that don't know what it is, the SAT is a standardized test that is scored out of 1600. Every high schooler, or almost every high schooler in the United States takes this test as a college entrance exam. And the reason it's such a good indicator is because every college knows that every student is taking the same test. So they have a standardized metric for how to compare you. Your high school education, that's also very important. Your grades are probably the most important factor that they look at because it's a cumulative 4-year holistic overview of how well you do in your academics. Selena?
Your impact in extracurriculars.
That's great. Extracurriculars, as well as your impact. That's a really important factor as well. And I would say that those three that you have mentioned are three of the big four. So SAT, your grades, extracurriculars. The thing about extracurriculars is that there's no one right thing to do. And a lot of times people will tell you, oh, you should just do X thing. Maybe someone will tell you you should just do debate and you can get into a great college. Or you should just do scientific research and you'll get into a good college. all of those people are wrong because there's not a singular pathway to get into a college that fits you, but rather, as this person just commented, Ethan just commented, your passions and hobbies do count. And in fact, you want to align your extracurriculars with your passions and hobbies. And that's something that a lot of people miss. So a lot of times people think, okay, what am I going to do to maximize my chances of getting into a great college? I'm going to do this extracurricular because someone else told me to do it. That's not a good strategy. The reason why is because you're not going to be motivated to do that extracurricular. You're just thinking, oh, I'm just doing this thing in order to get into a good college. Instead, you want to do something that you really, really enjoy. So can some of you put in the chat or unmute and speak aloud? What are some of your passions and hobbies that you enjoy? Selena, volleyball, that's great. That's a really good one because volleyball trains not just it's not just a fun sport. It also trains your leadership, your teamwork, your endurance, your ability to persevere. Art is wonderful as well. It seems like a lot of people are hearting the art one. So other people, I assume, like to do art as well. This one is great because when you produce art, you can actually submit it as a portfolio that the colleges can look at. And there's also specific art schools that if you're really, really passionate about art, you can apply for. Writing, similar. It's a very important skill to have. And the other thing about writing is a big component of college applications is the essays. So if you're already a good writer, you already write a lot, it'll help you with the essay process as well. Baking is phenomenal. Ethan, I think that a lot of people would tell you, oh, baking, well, it doesn't really seem like directly applicable to like applying for college. Like college people aren't looking for a good baker. But some ideas that I have for how you can make it more actionable and more favorable to college admissions officers include maybe selling uh, what you bake to your neighbors or maybe selling it online. So you have an entrepreneurial background when you're applying to college. Or maybe you bake um, for raising money for an important cause. There's a lot of ways that you can apply your passion for baking into something meaningful and something that is important that can be applied to college. Coding is very actionable. That's great. Animation as well, music, phenomenal to hear. Skating, music, dance. It's great to see that you guys are all very passionate people. And what I want to encourage today is don't let the people tell you you should not do these things that you're passionate about, because each of these things can make you a more qualified candidate for college and shows that you're passionate about things and excited about things, which is something that everyone at the colleges is looking for. So this is all great to see. For the next component of college applications, I kind of mentioned this already, it's essays. This is something I won't talk much about today because a lot of you are still on the younger side, so you still have some time. This won't really come up until your junior and really your senior year. Um, but just something for all of you to keep in mind is that there are some very personal essays that you're going to have to write about when the college application season rolls around. And in order to be prepared for this time of writing, there's going to be a lot of essays you're going to have to write. Now you should start thinking about yourself. Just understand yourself, think about what you enjoy, think about how you contribute to the people around you, to the community that you're a part of. Think about how you're going to contribute to perhaps a college community. Think about what you are as in a team. Think about how you relate to other people, your friends, family, and really try to understand who you are because that's what they're going to try to figure out. And this is just something that you want to think about. It doesn't require you to dedicate a lot of time, but it's just something you should explore in your high school career to figure out what and who you are, not only for college applications, but it'll also aid you many, many years in the future as you figure out who you are becoming as you grow up to become an adult. The final component of college applications is teacher recommendation letters. This comes in the form of usually 2 or 3 recommendations that you get from your high school teachers, and they will send it straight to your college. So in your high school, you should be building strong rapport, a strong relationship with your teachers. You don't want to be dozing off in classes or making the teachers disappointed or annoyed at you in your classes, because when college application season rolls around and you need to get the teacher recommendations, then you'll start feeling some penitence for the lack of recommendations that you are able to get during that time. So be sure to really focus on building a strong relationship with your teachers, which not only means being a good student in class or doing your homework on time, but it also means engaging with the teacher, raising your hand, asking a lot of questions, finding the teacher outside of class, because all of those things will make the teacher remember you more. It will make you more memorable, and it will also make you um, uh, more likable, because every teacher, they might not tell you this, but every teacher loves it when students are curious, when students um, try to find them and talk to them about their lives, about their work after class, and who really want to connect with the teachers. Now, that is just a brief overview of the college application process. I won't belabor the point too much because there's so much more to life than college. And even though college is an important thing, you shouldn't let the milestone intimidate you. And you also shouldn't treat it as an end all be all, because there are so many things beyond college that matter. And to be honest, colleges, they make a big deal out of which college you go to. But what really matters is who you are, what kind of student you are, what kind of person you are, who you are to your friends and family. And that is what determines what you take out of your college. So even though a good college could be pretty different from a not so good college, what really matters is what you bring to the college. So that is something that I will encourage you guys to focus your time on and to think about, and not to be too stressed about which specific college you get into. Now, I have a few options of what to talk about from this point on. And I would just like to get some of your input so that this workshop can be really helpful for what you guys are experiencing now, and what you guys, so that you guys can get the most out of this workshop. So here are the three options that you have, and please vote for the one that you think that you would most want to hear. The first option is that I talk about my college experience. So I've spent a year at Stanford. I'll just talk about everything that is going on in college, things that I've been enjoying, not enjoying, any lessons that I've learned from my time in college, and so on. The second thing I could talk about is my high school experience. So kind of a more detailed dive about what I did in high school, what I did extracurricular wise or academics wise, and also what I spent my time doing in my free time in high school. And the third option is um, a you guys choose option. So this one is um, I will open up the floor to you guys to ask questions. I know that this is a speech club. I've had a lot of practice giving speeches. I want you guys to have more practice. So you guys will have the opportunity to ask any questions you want about me or about high school or about middle school or anything that you're interested in. And that way you guys can have more input into the talk. So everyone, please put what you want to hear in the chat, and I'll decide based on what you guys decide. So Ethan says life in high school. Seems like there's an overwhelming consensus for high school, and also a bit of Q&A afterwards. That's great. So let's get started. In high school, I spent a lot of time in debate. That was probably the biggest time sink that I had. And the format of debate I did was called policy debate. So this is a form of debate where you have a partner, there's two of you, and you're facing off against another team of two. Similar, that's great to hear. I also love debate. I'm still doing debate in college right now. My debate partner, his name is Kevin. He's actually my twin. Kevin and I co-founded this club together, and we spent hours practicing, researching, discussing debate, and ultimately traveling to many, many tournaments over the 4 years. In the end, we were the national champion at the National Debate Coaches Association, which is a national tournament. And we were also ranked the #1 team in the United States in our senior year. So Kevin and I got pretty good at debate, and we loved every step of the process. Now, debate is something that I would recommend all of you try, but not necessarily recommend all of you stick with. The thing about debate is that it is very time consuming because every single person in debate wants to win, and everyone is doing a lot of research, a lot of practice. Selena, I'm sure you have the experience of going against opponents who come very well prepared. And the thing about debate is that because everyone is trying to win, it also means that no one is going to let you win easy. And that requires time and effort. So in order for us to have attained that success in debate, we needed to pour hours and hours on end, which meant that we had less time for other things like spending time with our friends and family. Since we were traveling a lot on the weekends, it meant that sometimes our schoolwork would fall behind and we'd have to catch up during the week. So we'd have some sleepless nights. And it also meant that our other extracurriculars kind of suffered. So in the past, I played a lot of violin. I used to practice 1 to 2 hours every single day. But in high school, because of college, I kind of lost the time to do so. And violin kind of became something that I threw on the wayside. Still, I thought that debate was very, very useful for my growth. It made me a better researcher, a better critical thinker. It also made me better at persuading people and talking in front of an audience. And because of all of those things, ultimately debate was the right choice for me. But a big reason why it was a right choice for me was because I loved it so much and I had a partner who loved it so much. Kevin and I, we just really enjoyed the process of debating. We enjoyed the competition and we enjoyed winning in debate. So that was something that allowed us to always persevere, to always keep spending time, even when we were tired, even when we felt like debate was something that was sucking up a lot of our time. It was meant that we never got burnt out because we loved it so much. Now, outside of debate, high school, schoolwork, academics obviously took up a lot of time too. I went to a high school in Palos Verdes, California, called Peninsula High School. It's a public school. Some of you might have heard about it. It's pretty big. So there's, I think, about 2,000 students that go there. And the thing about the school is that the teaching is decent, but the class sizes are large. The facilities are very bad. And the school has very little money to spend on upgrading their infrastructure or ensuring that their classrooms are up to date because it's a very old high school. So the thing about my high school experience was that since resources were kind of scarce, I really had to be proactive with getting the necessary attention or the necessary resources or kind of the connections with the teacher that I wanted to get. So when I was in high school, I took a lot of AP classes. For those of you that don't know, those are advanced placement classes, which are kind of accelerated college level classes for high schoolers that are a little bit more advanced. So these classes, they often move faster. They also have a standardized test at the end of the year. And it was something that some students would struggle with because of the college fast moving pace. Now, my experience with these classes was that they really weren't too hard. And I'll let you all in on a secret for how to be able to tackle these classes with ease. A lot of people, the reason why the classes are so hard for them is that they cram for the final test at the end of the year. They think that this AP test, advanced placement test in May, sometimes in June. I think it's in May actually, in May. It's so far away. So I don't need to do anything yet. I still have time. I can figure it out later. And I don't really put in the work day by day, week by week. And as a result, they fall behind. I, on the other hand, would be sure that I was on top of the material every single day. And I would make sure that none of the material would ever be not understood by myself. So every single thing that the teacher talks about, I would be sure to understand it. So that could come in a lot of ways. It could mean looking it up online, maybe asking ChatGPT. In high school, I didn't have ChatGPT, but now all of you guys have it. Or it could be looking it up on Khan Academy, or maybe, and I think the best one is asking your teachers, because they're always willing to help. So that is something that uh, all of you should keep in mind. And it just comes down to being curious and being very, very angry at not understanding things. You want to reach this point where you will tackle and beat down any questions that you have and any confusion that you have so that you are able to have a full grasp of the material. Ethan, you have a question?
No, it's in the chat.
Oh, okay. Did you ever volunteer to travel to other places to do charitable acts? That's a good question. I never traveled to other places in order to do charitable acts, but I did do a lot of volunteering in high school. Um, when you travel, when you're referring to traveling to other places to do charitable acts, what specifically are you referring to, Ethan? Like, what does this look like? Who are you going with? What charitable acts are you
Uh,
doing?
like sometimes when I flip through my like high school people's yearbooks or news, there's like people going to, for example, Canada to pick up trash along the snow and Mexico to pick up trash along the beach and stuff like that.
Thank you, Ethan, for clarifying. That is very good point to bring up. And a lot of people do these things. Um, I will say that a lot of this is unnecessary. The contribution that you can have in your own neighborhood, in your own community, is oftentimes just as, if not more meaningful than the contribution that you can have by taking a plane to somewhere far away, which costs you a lot of money, costs you a lot of time, but doesn't necessarily make the same impact or a larger impact than what you would do near your home. The reason why I say this is that I'm familiar with some of these programs that you talk about where, for example, you, as you brought up, you travel to a different country to do some kind of volunteering work. But a lot of times, colleges think that these acts are just for show. It might not be the case for you. It might not be the case for the people that you see online. Maybe they're there because they genuinely want to help those people. They genuinely care and they're dedicated. But the thing about traveling long distances and doing these things far away is that it's hard to make the volunteering regular. It's hard to do it on a daily basis or maybe a weekly basis or maybe even a monthly basis. And because of that, the college, when they see that it's just a one-time trip, they don't really believe that you're genuinely dedicated or you genuinely care about the people there. They think you might just be doing it so you can write it on your college application. So a lot more times, it's a lot more meaningful to volunteer for something you genuinely care about that you can dedicate regular, repeated time to. It might be something you start on your own, something like Future Leaders Gavel Club. You are all spending your time here today. Some of you are officers who volunteer your time on a weekly basis. And that's just something that I think is a lot more impactful because you're touching them over and over again. You're improving people's lives over and over again, and not just once and then you're done and over with it. Now, of course, there are times when volunteering overseas or in faraway places is a very meaningful act. But that a lot of times requires a lot of resources. It requires you to maybe go back multiple times, maybe have kind of the support network to make it happen. So if you can do it, power to you. But a lot more times I would recommend doing something local, but not any but not any less meaningful.
Yeah, it makes a
Selena
lot
has
of
a
sense.
question. Oh, go ahead. Ethan, you said that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Great. That's great to hear, Ethan. Thank you for the question. It was a great question. Selena asked anything about passion projects. Selena, tell me a little bit more about what specifically you were referring to.
Like ventures that you do on your own. Like you mentioned, like for baking, like cooking for like better causes. Like what are like startups? Like should you do that or should you wait to do that? Or what's your advice on it?
I think that that is a great idea, and I would fully support any one of you that want to partake in a passion project. So, Selena, I think the examples that you gave are great, and the reason why these projects can be so meaningful is because you're putting your own time into something that you're passionate about, into something that can make people's lives better. And that's something that colleges really like to see because they see that you are contributing to society in a way that makes yourself happy and yourself excited. They see that you're someone that cares about the people around you, and they see that you're trying to make a big impact on the world. So a lot of the times these passion projects can be both very good for college and also just very good for yourself, whether from a uh, excitement perspective or just from the perspective of personal growth, learning more about how these projects work and learning more to be engaged in um, society. I see I have another question. What did I have that stood out on my Stanford application? That's a great question. And it's hard for me to know exactly what got me into Stanford. I'm not the admissions officer. I've chatted with her before, but she obviously didn't tell me the like breakdown of like what got you in, what helped you, what didn't help you. But I have a pretty good idea of what stood out and what was a big reason I got to Stanford. So first of all, it's debate. Debate is the big extracurricular. I was really good at it. I wrote about it in my personal statement, and I also talked about debate's relationship to what I wanted to do in college, which was to do political science and international relations and try to use those majors and use that training and education to make people's lives better by crafting policies and persuading people to reduce inequality through means like welfare, increased fiscal redistribution, social security, and other things of the sort. So what I was able to do is tie in my passion in high school into something that is more meaningful that the colleges care about, that the colleges could also provide me assistance with, which is the education and the major learning that the college would provide me at Stanford. Another thing is just grades. You got to have good grades. And I had good grades in high school. So all of you get good grades. That's very important. I think another thing that helped out my application a lot was the kind of well-roundedness of it all. So I did mathematical competitions, AMC. Do you guys know what that is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
not to be
For those
confused
of you that,
with the movie theater.
yes, exactly, Ethan. For those of you that don't know what it is, it's the American Mathematics Competition. It's held yearly. Every high schooler can take it. Even middle schoolers can take it too. And you're competing against all these other high schoolers across the country. And because of that, I qualified to Amy, which is like the next step for the top, I think 5% or 2.5% of AMC. And I was pretty good at the mathematical exams. I wasn't the best. There's definitely people better, but I think it just added to the well-roundedness of my application. I also did physics competitions. I made it to the semifinals round of that. I played the violin, spent many years on it, was involved in multiple orchestras. And I also did things like FLGC and volunteering at my church. And um, all of these, I think, contributed to my application. They showed that I was like not just someone that could debate really well and argue against people really well, but that I also have a very strong math and physics background, that I also contribute to my community around me, and that I can kind of tackle any problem thrown at me because all of these broad subjects are things that I can successfully complete, even though I don't have that much time. I see that there's another question in the chat, which was, what was my GPA and SAT score? Ethan, thanks for watching out for my privacy, but it's okay. I'll share it since hopefully that can help you guys prepare and think about college. My GPA was a 4.0 unweighted and a 5.0 weighted. Um, but the weighting at my school is a little different. So some schools, it's very hard to get a 5.0 weighted. Um, but at my school, as long as you took enough honors or AP classes, then you get a 5.0 if you get straight A's. So that was something that I had. My SAT was 1560. All right. The other part of my high school was sports. I was a swimmer. I did varsity swim in high school. It was something that challenged me a lot because we had practices every evening. It was freezing. The pool was outdoors. It was like built between two buildings that funneled the wind. So it was always so cold at night because all of the wind just funneled through the pool. It was like a wind tunnel. I don't know why they designed it like that. They also had morning practices and morning training where we had to work out and lift weights. And during the time, I hated practice, but I'm glad I did it because it's made me, have, uh, it's made me healthier. It's made me a much better swimmer. Now, whenever I swim with my friends in Stanford, I smoke them. I can beat them without using my arms. Um, and it's also just made me a lot more persevering, I would say. So it's helped me tackle other challenges that I face throughout my life. High school, of course, is not all about work. It's not all about academics or extracurriculars or sports. Um, a big part of my life was also my friends, and I was really blessed to live by the ocean. So the thing that my friends and I love to do, especially when it's summer, it was summer. So during a time like today, I would just be spending the whole day at the beach. Um, I'd play beach volleyball, swim in the ocean, go surfing sometimes. Um, I also love to play golf with my friends. There was a lot of golf courses near my house. And I uh, kind of miss my friends. Yeah, I haven't seen them in a while. But yeah, I think that's like a pretty holistic overview of what I did in high school. There's not much else I can think of right now. So I'll leave it at that. Are there any questions about my high school experience? Anything else you guys have? Oh, I have another question. What is one piece of advice that I would give to my high school self? Oh, I love this question. I would tell myself to be more confident to try new things. And I know this is cliche, but I really, really encourage each of you to do this and to internalize this message. The thing is, when you're in high school, it can be a scary place. Now, there's going to be a lot of things that you're not scared of. Maybe you're a good student, so you're not scared of uh, your teacher, or you're not scared of schoolwork. But maybe because you're such a good student and you've studied so hard all your life, you're kind of scared to um, go to a party maybe, or you're scared to try and ask someone out for on a date. I think that there's so many new opportunities in high school, and it's can be a big change from middle school. You have a lot more freedom, you have a lot more latitude to do what you want to do. You also have a lot more responsibilities. And these are all great experiences for you to try to figure out who you are. But an important aspect of that is to try new things, figure out what suits you, makes you happy, what you're comfortable with. So I really, really encourage you to be confident in who you are, and to try things that your friends tell you to do that you maybe haven't had the chance to do before. Of course, things that are good for you, like safe, but I regret a lot of times when I said no to opportunities and activities or chances that I wish I had said yes to today. And there's also been many times when I said yes to something that I was unsure about. I loved it, and I haven't looked back since. Ethan asked, did you live in a dorm in high school? No, I lived at home in high school. It was a public school. My house was pretty close by, so I either drove or biked to school every day. Janya asked, what course am I taking in university? That's a good question. The thing about university is that you take many, many courses. I'm currently majoring in international relations and physics, but the number of courses that I'm taking vary a lot. So I'm taking not just classes related to those majors, but also I've been taking classes like differential equations. That's a math class. I took physics. Um, I've taken physics courses about quantum mechanics, special relativity, as well as electromagnetism this year. I have taken a class called SLE, which stands for Structured Liberal Education. It's a great class. I highly recommend it to anyone that comes here to Stanford. In this class, you read 30 or so books. Um, and these books span the Western canon. What that means is that these books are integral, are highly important to the trajectory of Western thinking, Western thought. And they range from Aristotle and Plato and Socrates to Marx and Nietzsche and Toni Morrison, who, if you don't know, are all very influential philosophers and thinkers in history and also in modern times. I also took a class about genocide, where I learned about many of the genocides in recent history and how we should counteract the modern ones that we are facing today. And I also took a class about computer science, where I worked on some of the abstract thinking behind C++ coding um, in order to polish up on my coding skills. Uh, there were a few other math classes I took, um, and a few other like fun classes I took, but those were the main academic classes I took this year. I got a question from Future Leaders Gavel Club. What methods did I find to be useful when managing my time? And also, did I plan out each day in detail? Okay, don't be like me in high school for time management purposes. I was not a very detailed planner, and a lot of times I went with the flow. So the only thing I had was a Google Calendar where I put all the important dates, the important events I had or due dates I had. But other than that, I did next to no planning. Now, it worked out for me because for me, I kind of enjoyed schoolwork and I enjoyed debate work. So it's very easy for me to be motivated to just start working. I didn't really have to plan out things much in advance because I just got them done before it was needed to be done. But it also meant that there were things that fell through the cracks. There were sometimes uh, assignments that I forgot to do here and there. It never really mattered since I did well enough on the tests, but it was something I definitely kind of regret. And I could have done a lot more if I planned out my life with more detail. So now that I'm in college, I've learned a lot more methods. Some of the things that are very useful. One, Pomodoro. For those of you that haven't heard of this, is a way to split up your time where you use 25 minutes of working followed by 5 minutes of break time. And the good thing about this method is that it allows you to be really, really focused in those 25 minutes. You have no distractions. And then that 5 minutes of break time helps you recuperate, helps you be ready to lock in for 25 minutes again. Another thing that's really helpful is having a to-do list where you say what you're going to do at the beginning of each day. And the good thing about having this to-do list is that it helps you stay motivated throughout the day and it helps you keep track of what you've gotten done in that day. When you check it off, you both feel a sense of gratification for the things that you get done, and you also have a record of what you accomplished. So that in the future you can look back on what you've done, and so that you can kind of recalibrate and you can perfect how much work you can accomplish in a given amount of time. So let's say today I plan to do 10 different things and I only finished five of them. Now I know that for tomorrow, maybe I assign myself a few less things to do because maybe 10 was too many. And that way I can really cut down I can accomplish in a day and what I should accomplish with the time that I have in a day. The third thing that I have is that it can be good to overload yourself on the weekends. What that means is that um, when you have a lot of things you have to do, whether it's schoolwork or extracurriculars, a lot of tasks that you have to get done. For me, it's been a lot easier to stay focused. And it's been a lot easier for me to not get distracted by things like YouTube or video games or maybe Instagram, because there's always something else I can do when I get bored. For example, if I got a little bored of doing debate, I will do my schoolwork. Or if I got a little bored of that, I could go play the violin, or maybe go study math, or go practice my physics, or maybe go volunteering. And because I had so many different productive things to choose from, I could always be productive without. This is not to say that you should overload yourself with too much work that you can't finish, that get burned out. You should still set aside time, like on the weekends. Maybe you set aside a full day where you don't think about any work. You just have fun. You just hang out with your friends. You just leave the house and go play soccer or go shopping or go get boba or go to the beach, because you need those days off. But on the days where you are deciding to work, you want to be fully engaged and you do not want to be distracted at all. Thank you for that great question. Natasha, ACT versus SAT. I just never took the ACT, which is kind of a mistake. I mean, my SAT score was probably good enough. It was good enough to get me into Stanford, but I do recommend each of you, if you have the finance to have both and to take the one that you're better at. The ACT, SAT are evaluated equally, and college's mind, college's eyes. So you just want to do the one that reflects your strengths better, and that allows it to capture the better score that you can produce. Claire, how did I connect the activities into a theme and narrative? That's a terrific question. And it's something that depended on the college as well as the prompts that I had for each of the aspects that the college gave me. So the thing is, for different colleges, I kind of applied for different majors because for some schools, I wanted to go into that school in political science really badly. For example, Georgetown, they have a really strong foreign service major that I wanted to get into. For other schools, maybe I want to take their physics program or maybe their relations program. So I would kind of my activities and paint it in a way that fits into that major that I'm applying for. Now, for most schools, I applied political science. So I already mentioned a little bit about how policy kind of it works really well with political science. That's pretty obvious how it does so. But for the other majors, for the other activities, physics and math, I really leaned into my belief that quantitative ability, statistics, using science and more rigorous methods is very important for having a political science strategy or having a political science understanding that can really help society. So I wrote essays about how a lot of times politicians, individuals, political scientists, they make a lot of policies or they make a lot of political promises that aren't grounded in the math or aren't grounded in statistics. And because of that, there are strategies that fail. So my strong physics and math background kind of enabled me to become a political scientist that is objective, that uses the facts, that uses uh, scientific methods to create the best policies and to best improve society. For things like violin and swimming, those were kind of harder to. A lot of times you put those on, and colleges kind of see that you are persevering in activity, that you're very capable of managing your time, and not necessarily something that requires you to tie it into your major. Um, some other things, FLGC, speaking, something that tied in pretty easily with political science, as well as economic competitions. I did a good amount of those in high school too. I was a state champion. Also ties pretty nicely hand in hand with political science. So part of it is figuring out how to package your activities so that it fits into the major that you've chosen. But part of it too is also choosing the major based on what activities you have. What I mean by this is for some colleges, you don't have to be sure that you're going to major in the major you put on the application. So maybe you aren't sure that you want to do political science, but you have related to it. Because of that, it could be a good idea to put on political science as your application, and you can always switch when you get to college. Ethan asked, did I live in a dorm in college and what's life there? Wow, Ethan, you really care about what dorm is like. Yes, I live on a dorm in college, and it's a pretty big adjustment from living at home. The thing about living in a dorm is that you're living with strangers, you're living with other students your age who can be pretty irresponsible and really, really messy. And you're living with people that you don't know really well, that you might not be very comfortable with, but you have to be able to live with them. So it really trains kind of your communication skills, but it's also a great opportunity to meet new friends and to get to know a lot of people really, really well because you're living with them, you're spending so much time with them. So I've really personally enjoyed my dorm life. I thought that some of my closest friends today were built in my dorm. I have one roommate in my dorm. His name is Thomas. We're very close. And there's also a hallway. So I have a dorm. There's a bunch of other dorms next to me that all have two people each. We share a bathroom in the hallway. And you see everyone else in the dorm a lot. You get to know them well. Uh, you have a kitchen where you can cook for yourself. So it's basically like you're living in a really, really big house with a lot of people your age, which can be a lot of fun, but also requires you to have good communication skills. Claire asked, how did I approach writing my personal statement in Stanford Fluence? What did I write mine about? And if I have any advice. Okay, this is a great question. I started pretty early on my personal statement because I knew that I had to submit this to every single college and I wanted it to be really good. So I started thinking, I think towards the end of junior year about what I wanted to write. And I started writing the drafts in the summer before senior year. Now, the personal statement, for those of you that don't know, is a prompt that asks you um, a question. There's a few different questions that you can choose from. That's correct, right, Claire? And the questions kind of ask you about your personal life or your personal, it could be a question about your challenges or a question about, I don't remember the specifics, but I kind of looked at the prompts. I brainstormed ideas for each of them. I shot off ideas with my twin and also my family. And I tried to figure out which prompt really spoke to me. Um, and ultimately, after brainstorming ideas for all of the prompts, I think that's a good idea to do. I settled on the one about challenges. But like, I think the question was like, what is a major challenge that you faced, and what did you like learn from it, or how did you grow from it? Um, and I wrote mine about my experience with a lung. So basically, what happened was my lung collapsed. I had to go to hospital, had surgery. It affected my debating, uh, but I kind of persevered through it, and I learned a lot from it, grew a lot from it. I won't go into the details, but that's what I wrote about because it really did shape my life to a pretty big extent in high school. It took up a lot of my time. And it was a pretty major event that kind of defined me. So I encourage each of you. That's kind of the reason why I started today with encouraging all of you to think about who you, your personal statement. But I would also caution that there's no one size fits all solution. There's no one like right answer to the personal statement, and it really has to come from your heart and come from who you are. For the Stanford supplements, I think it was a similar process, brainstormed a lot of ideas before even starting to write. Um, if you want to talk more later about like the specifics, I can. I'm not gonna go into that now since I think it would take a while. But a general piece of advice I have is just for any college, you want to know the college well, so that you can write about things that are specific to the college and that really shows that you care about the college and that the college can really help you grow as a person. I got another question from Future Leaders Gavel Club. What study habits or study methods did I use in high school and even now in college? Um, this is a good question. I didn't use flashcards or rewrite notes. Um, yeah, I was a pretty like basic studier. I didn't really use anything apart from the notes I took in class, or maybe the textbook that was assigned to us for the class. I really would recommend all of you to figure out what works best for yourself because for everyone it's different. For me, for example, flashcards, rewriting notes wouldn't have worked so well. First of all, because my handwriting is really, really bad, so I wouldn't even be able to read what I rewrote. But also because I don't really learn by uh, using kind of physical, uh, physical body movements. That's not how I learn. Instead, what really helps me is just thinking about a challenging question and really figuring out the answer to that question. So whenever I had anything that I was confused about, I had to figure out the answer to it. And that's how I really studied because any confusion I had, it frustrated me. And that's a really good trait to have because it means that nothing will ever stump you and that you always have a strong basis for the next step that you learn in the class and the next thing that gets built on top of the pyramid of learning that you have accumulated so far. So everyone can have a different strategy. Maybe flashcards works for you, maybe rewriting notes, maybe none of that. But the thing that is important is to fix all confusion. How many AP classes do I recommend taking? Uh, yeah, this also depends on the person and it also depends highly on the school. So some schools offer a lot, some schools don't offer that many. I took 15 AP classes. Um, I took 4 sophomore year, 6 junior year, and 5 senior. Um, I would say that it can be a good idea to take AP classes earlier because that way you have more time for college applications in your senior year. And also you have kind of the academic juices and the basic foundations, the fundamentals in order to tackle extracurriculars and other potential passion projects or other things you want to do outside of high school. For colleges, I applied to many. I applied to UCs, Stanford, Caltech, MIT, all of the Ivy Leagues, Northwestern, U Chicago, Emory, and USC. Claire, any advice for high school juniors? I think junior year is a very tough year because oftentimes this is where students take the hardest classes. Um, One thing to keep in mind is that high school is almost over. So you might start feeling a little burnt out. Maybe classes are getting really hard. Maybe you don't really want to do it anymore. But power through. You're almost at the finish line. Don't give up now, because that would be like being ahead in a Formula One race and letting go of the gas when you only have one lap left to go to the finish line. Another piece of advice that I have is that in your junior year, especially, it's very, very important to build a strong rapport relationship with your teacher. So ask questions, go to them after class, talk to them during recess, and maybe um, do things with your teacher. Maybe if your teacher some be really engaged with them so that you can have a strong relationship and a strong person that you can ask questions to, and also so that you can get a strong teacher recommendation for college applications. Claire asked what colleges I got accepted to. I got into the UCs, all of them. Um, Dartmouth, Emory, Michigan, USC, Stanford, Cornell, and I was waitlisted to uh, the other ones and rejected from MIT. And I actually didn't apply to Caltech. I don't know what I was saying. I was rejected from MIT and Columbia, I think. Waitlisted to the other ones. Uh, Future Leaders Gavel Club. What tips or resources for SAT testing? Khan Academy is really good. They have this free course, a lot of training, free questions, kind of a guided course on how to get better at the SAT. Publishes a lot of the previous SATs, so we want to practice with that. I think the SAT is digital now, and they have like a digital version of that, so you want to practice with that one. And I kind of recommend not using, if you can, not using paid services because a lot of times those services they just get the free ones and then they just have a person walk you through it, which is really unnecessary because all the free ones do the same thing. You just have to spend your time on it and you'll do great. An important thing to keep in mind with SATs is that it's very, very scripted. There's a very structured nature to the SAT. So you kind of want to learn the patterns and the structure of the SAT to do well on it. Claire has a question about building relationships with teachers. This is a great question. And I think this is something that can be challenging to some students. For me, for a while, I was pretty scared of teachers. What you have to realize is that teachers want you to talk with them. They really care about students that are passionate, that engage with them. They want students that um, are curious about their lives. So once you recognize that, once I recognized that, it really shaped how I approached my relationships with teachers because now I'm not scared of them. I'm not like feeling like I'm wasting their time when I talk to them or ask them about their lives or ask them a question, but that now I really realize that they want me to ask those questions. The other thing to keep in mind is that teachers give up a lot in order to help you succeed, in order for you to be the best student to grow. And you really want to demonstrate your gratefulness. really thank them every time. Thank them for teaching you. Thank them for how they give you feedback, how they grade your work, for answering your questions, for spending time on you. Thank them for the dedication that they have. And be sure to really recognize them for the contributions they make to your life and also to the lives of the people around you. Pro and cons of Stanford. Pros are many. It's a beautiful campus, great teachers, great classmates. People are so smart here. There's a lot of opportunities. Stanford has so much money. So there's so many clubs, so many things that you can do, like so many great people that you can meet. Like I met do you guys know Hillary Clinton? I was able to meet her um, a couple months ago on campus. It was incredible. Some cons. I think um, one big one that bothers some people a lot is that the environment and the atmosphere can be pretty competitive. And in some areas, it can be really, really toxic because a lot of students are competing for the same internships, the same kind of club opportunities, the same leadership roles. And every student is very ambitious. But sometimes those ambitious students can also become very uh, cruel to each other, and that could um, break down the camaraderie and make the whole environment a little less enjoyable. Eliana asked if I still have my dog. Unfortunately, I do not. Uh, Now my dog Louis, the one in the picture, he did not pass away, but he got taken back from the previous owners that gave him to our family, which is kind of cruel, like I can't believe they did that. But he's not with our family anymore. Um, Seeing that it's 7:04 and we're already past time, I would like to give back the meeting to Claire. Thank you everyone for your attention and your wonderful questions. And it's great to be a part of this community once again.
All right, thank you so much, Devin. Let's give Devin a huge round of applause. Thank you so much for spending like so much of your time. I'm sure we all know that Devin must be really, really busy. So we really appreciate him for agreeing to do this workshop and seeing that a lot of our members had very different questions. We're super glad that Devin was able to answer them. And I hope everyone took a lot from today's workshop. So, again, Devin, thank you so much for sharing all of your experiences. I think there is no wonder that you got into a lot of those top schools, and we're definitely wishing you continued success at Stanford. So, thank you so much again for your time. Um, and I'm sure maybe Devin, if any other members have any questions that didn't get answered or you weren't able to ask, maybe Devin would be able to answer them in the future. So yeah, again, thank you so much, Devin, for your time. And as usual, for all of our workshop speakers, we have a certificate of appreciation, which I will send in the chat. Oh, and I see Devin also sent his Stanford email in the chat. So if any members have any questions, I'm sure he would be happy to answer. But yeah, I just sent over their certificate. Thank you so much, Devin, for all of your time. And super, super happy that you were able to share with us all of your great experiences.
Thank you. It's an honor to be able to see you guys again. And best of luck with all of your endeavors. Best of luck in middle school or high school. But also remember to have fun.
All right, thank you so much, Devin, again. Yeah, we greatly appreciate all of your time. Thank you so much for everything you shared. It was all super helpful. And thank you to all of our members for sticking on and asking all those wonderful questions as well. All right, so members, we will see each other next Wednesday. Bye, everyone.
Hi, Devin. Good to see you.
Bye.
Bye.